Hey guys, got another found footage movie review for you. Thankfully, this is far, far better than Megan is Missing. This actually is one of those mockumentary kind of films. Reminds me sort of The Bay, which actually is another one that I should talk about because I actually enjoyed that one, at least from my memory. This one's called Savageland, and I only saw this. I think this was a suggestion to me, but at the same time, I also think I kind of randomly came across it. But this one's actually kind of cool because it's a criminal investigation that just so happens to be kind of timely in its release because it does involve the criminal, the so-called suspect, being an illegal immigrant from Mexico right at the hype of the whole send him back, build the wall, all that business. And what is taking place, or what they're going over, is the death of this entire town, which I think was like 40 people, and they're all kind of putting it on this guy because he's the only survivor they find, whereas he has a different story. And the film has a little bit of weird editing choices. For instance, the opening minute before the title is shown is essentially a trailer of the whole movie, which I guess they're trying to do it like a news report. So if anything, it actually does help you build you into that sort of news documentary, sort of 50, 60 minutes sort of thing, which I'll give it that. In terms of how it's put together, it is very, very accurate to the type of source material. Even if the acting and some of the interviews are kind of horrid, there's this one guy who you swear you've seen him on one of those like hunting Bigfoot shows who's kind of walking through the town and talking to the camera about what's going on. And there's a few others, but there's like criminal journalists. There's a very belligerent and very narrow-minded mayor. And then there's this videotape they keep going back to with the criminal, well, the guy who's in prison for the crimes, and he's talking about what happened, and he has this roll of film that was discovered, and they talk about what's on the film, and it shows that he was essentially running from all these people hunting down and murdering this entire town. And it took me a bit until maybe 50 minutes through that I realized, is this a zombie movie? And it never says it. It never actually says it to you. It never confirms that. If anything, it actually is a little bit weak on the whole. It doesn't even give you an example or sort of talk about what are in the photos. It's talking about what happened in the photos. It's talking about what happened with him. And if anything, there's actually a photojournalist who's played by this Len. I can't remember the name of his name, but it's funny enough. It's the guy who made Wolverine, the comic book writer. He's in this movie as a photojournalist, and he actually has a line at one point which I totally relate to him as is the kind of he's kind of given an explanation as to why this guy would be taking photos of all these murderous people or attacking this town and killing everyone. He says that when you're a photographer, all of a sudden your worst fears will go out of your mind. Like he talks about being afraid of heights, yet he supposedly was a war journalist during the Vietnam War, and he was just hanging out a helicopter. And I can actually somewhat agree to that. I usually am cautious in my life, but when I'm doing my photography gigs, there are times where I was hanging out the side of a car, holding on with a hand, like holding on and leaning as far back to the point where I was more out of the car, hanging out of the car, like over the car, it was a convertible, than I was in the car. And it was all just to get that shot. So I kind of related into that. But again, they don't explain, they don't really talk about what is causing these things or what are these people, these things in the photos that are attacking all of these people. There's a real good human element that talks about that tries to kind of give a character to every victim or almost every victim in the town that is killed, and it ends on a kind of a sour note, and it kind of talks about the whole divided that no one's able to figure, like everyone's just like bickering back with each other, no one's actually trying to find the answer in the middle. And it's a lot better than I expected it to be. After watching the absolute garbage of a few found footage horror films that I've seen over the last few days, I was expecting this one to be garbage, but it's actually not bad. It's actually pretty decent, and it's trying a lot to be nuanced and creative. It's trying a bit more to do something. Like I know that a lot of people thought that what was that one? The Aussie one that I reviewed recently that I thought was very, very boring. I know people were saying that that one's trying to be kind of a nuanced sort of idea. This is doing that a bit, not in the same realm of in terms of going out there, but it's still an entertaining film, and that's something that the previous one, which I swear I won't remember it, but I'll probably have the name of it in the description below or a comment about whatever movie I'm trying to talk about. But that one couldn't hold my attention. Could barely hold anyone's attention. This one does. And it's very interesting. And so I'm gonna give Savageland a 4 out of 7. I enjoyed it. I actually wouldn't mind rewatching it just to see anything I missed, to look at the photos. The photos are actually taken by the main character, and there isn't really even a main character, but the guy who's on trial, he actually is a photojournalist from what I've heard, and so some of the photos that are taken are actually pretty spooky. There's some pretty good photos in this. Anyways, guys, that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, leave a like, and if you're interested in more, subscribe. If you want, it's on Amazon Prime for Canada, as far as I know. You probably could find it on YouTube, but I would recommend a higher quality because some of these ones I've watched on YouTube or other ones and they're garbage. But anyways, I'm going to be looking up one. It's a Japanese one. Doro. It's like an hour and 50 minutes long, but I'm going to be checking out that one soon. But I'll probably actually hack out the Bay next. Anyways, that's all from me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys later.